Welcome to the Nameless.
Different job, different home, same smile. The first photo I found was tucked inside a manila envelope behind my filing cabinet, like it had slipped there by accident. It showed me standing in front of a brick building I had never seen before, wearing a navy blue uniform with a stitched name tag that read Daniel. I was smiling the way I always smiled in pictures, slightly crooked, like I was trying not to look too serious. The problem was that my name isn't Daniel, and I had never worn a uniform like that in my life. At least, I didn't think I had. I stared at the photo for a long time, trying to figure out when it could have been taken. The haircut was mine from about 2 years earlier. Same glasses, same small scar on my chin from when I slipped on ice in college. Everything matched, right down to the cheap digital watch I wore until it broke. But the place behind me wasn't familiar, and the look on my face wasn't one I remembered ever making. I laughed at first. It was a short, nervous sound, like my body didn't know what else to do. I told myself it was some kind of joke or a mistake. Maybe someone who looked like me. People say everyone has a double somewhere. I put the photo back in the envelope, slid it into a drawer, and tried to forget about it. That didn't last long. At the time, my life was painfully ordinary. I lived alone in a small apartment on the edge of town, worked a desk job for a logistics company, and spent most evenings watching videos or half-heartedly scrolling through my phone. I didn't have many friends nearby. Most of my social life existed online, and even that had been thinning out lately. The days blurred together in a way that made it hard to remember specific moments. I woke up, went to work, came home. Weekends were quiet. I liked the quiet, or at least I thought I did. Nothing unexpected ever happened to me, which was why that photo felt so out of place. It didn't belong in my life. A few days later, I found another one. This time, it was on my phone. I was lying in bed, scrolling through my gallery, trying to clear out old screenshots and duplicates, when I saw a thumbnail I didn't recognize. It showed a living room that wasn't mine. The furniture was different. The walls were painted a warm beige instead of my apartment's dull white. In the center of the image, sitting on a gray couch, was me. I was holding a coffee mug and looking off to the side, like someone had called my name. The timestamp said it had been taken 8 months earlier, on a Sunday afternoon. According to my calendar, that Sunday I had been alone in my apartment, binge-watching a show I barely remembered now. My chest tightened as I tapped the image to make it full screen. The details were wrong in a way that made my skin itch. The mug had a logo I didn't recognize. There were framed photos on the wall behind me, but they were blurred, like the camera hadn't focused properly. I zoomed in anyway, hoping to see something familiar. I didn't. I checked the file info. The photo had been taken with my phone. Same model, same serial number. There was no sign it had been edited or downloaded from anywhere else. I spent the next hour digging through my gallery. I found 4 more photos like it. Different angles, different rooms, always me, always places I didn't recognize. In one, I was standing in a kitchen, wearing a t-shirt I didn't own, stirring something on a stove. In another, I was outside, sitting on the steps of a small house with white siding, squinting at the sun. The expressions were what bothered me most. I looked relaxed, comfortable, like I belonged there. I told myself there had to be an explanation. Maybe I had stayed somewhere else for a while and forgotten. Maybe stress had messed with my memory more than I realized. I even considered the idea that I'd been sleepwalking and living some kind of secret second life without knowing it, which sounded ridiculous, but it was better than the alternative. I tried to track down the locations in the photos. I searched for the logo on the mug, the building from the uniform picture, the street visible behind the White House. I didn't get any clear answers. Everything felt just off enough to be frustrating, but not impossible. Then, people started recognizing me. The first time it happened, I was at a grocery store after work. I was standing in line, staring at my phone, when someone behind me said, "Hey, didn't expect to see you here." I turned around, already preparing to apologize for not remembering them. It was a middle-aged man with a friendly face and tired eyes. He smiled like we were old acquaintances. "Sorry," I said. "Do I know you?" He laughed. "Very funny."
You still working over at the plant, or did you finally get sick of that place? My mouth went dry. I think you've got the wrong person. His smile faded, just a little. He looked at me more closely like he was searching for something. "No, I don't think so. You're Daniel, right?" I shook my head. "No, I'm not." He frowned, then shrugged it off. "Huh, could have sworn you look exactly like him." He turned back around, and that was the end of it. I stood there for the rest of the line, barely breathing. After that, it kept happening. A woman at a coffee shop asked if I was feeling better after what happened last winter. A guy on the sidewalk waved and said, "See you Monday," like we had plans. Every time, they seemed confused when I told them they had the wrong person, but none of them argued for long. They just walked away, leaving me with the feeling that I'd failed some kind of test. At night, I started dreaming about places I didn't recognize. I'd wake up with the sense that I had just left somewhere important. Sometimes I could still smell it, like old wood or brewed coffee. The dreams felt less like imagination and more like memories I couldn't fully access. One night, I dreamed I was standing in a narrow hallway, looking at a door at the end. I knew somehow that it led to a bedroom. I also knew I wasn't supposed to open it. When I reached for the handle anyway, I woke up with my heart racing. The next morning, I found a new photo on my phone. It showed that same hallway. I called in sick to work that day. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open, photos spread across the screen, trying to piece together a timeline. The other life, if that's what it was, seemed consistent. Same house, same job, same name. Daniel. I found an email account I didn't remember creating, logged in automatically on my laptop. It was full of mundane messages about schedules, bills, and casual conversations with people who clearly knew me well. They talked about things I had no memory of, shared jokes I didn't understand. There were references to an incident that no one ever explained directly. I scrolled until my eyes hurt. One message stood out. It was from a contact saved as Lena. The subject line read, "Please don't pretend again." The email was short. It said, "I know you think it helps, but it scares me when you act like you don't remember us. If you need space, just say it. Don't disappear while you're still here." I sat back in my chair, feeling hollow. I didn't know who Lena was, but part of me missed her in a way that didn't make sense. That scared me more than anything else so far. I decided I needed to see the house from the photos in person. I found the address buried in an old utility bill attached to one of the emails. It was only a 40-minute drive away. The neighborhood was quiet, lined with identical houses and overgrown lawns. When I pulled up in front of the white-sided house from the photos, my hands were shaking on the steering wheel. It looked exactly the same. Same steps, same front window with the crooked blinds. I sat there for a long time before getting out of the car. The door was unlocked. Inside, the air smelled familiar, like dust and something faintly sweet. The living room was just like in the pictures. Same couch, same framed photos on the wall. This time, they weren't blurred. They showed me with other people. Holidays, birthdays, casual moments. In every one, I was smiling that same smile. There was a photo of me and a woman I recognized immediately, even though I had never seen her before. Lena. Her arm was around my waist,
her head resting against my shoulder. We looked happy in a quiet, unremarkable way. I don't know how long I stood there. I heard a noise from down the hall, a door opening. My reflection in the hallway mirror made me freeze. For a second, I thought someone else was standing behind me. The angle was wrong. The expression didn't match how I felt. The reflection looked calm, expectant. "I was wondering when you'd come back," a voice said. It was my voice. I turned slowly. He stood at the end of the hall, wearing my clothes, my face older by a few months, eyes tired but focused. He looked at me like you'd look at someone who had finally shown up late. "You weren't supposed to find the photos yet," he said. "It makes the transition harder." I tried to speak. Nothing came out. He sighed. "I didn't want to scare you. I just needed a break. You were better at handling things. You always were." "What are you?" I finally asked. He smiled, and it was my smile. "I'm you, or I was. It's complicated." He explained it in pieces, never all at once, how sometimes my mind split when things got overwhelming. How one version of me could step away while the other kept living. How it felt seamless from the inside. No gaps, no warning, just relief. "You came back early this time," he said. "Usually you stay gone longer." I backed toward the door. "I don't want this." He nodded. "You said that last time too." As I reached for the handle, the room seemed to tilt. My thoughts felt slippery, like they wouldn't stay where I put them. "Just rest," he said gently. "I'll take care of things for a while." The last thing I remember from that house was the sound of the door closing, soft and final. I woke up in my apartment, on my bed, fully dressed. My phone buzzed with a notification from work, asking if I was feeling better and reminding me about a meeting I didn't remember scheduling. The photos were gone. The email account didn't exist anymore. The envelope behind my filing cabinet was empty. Life went back to normal, or something like it. The days blurred again. Sometimes I felt like I was watching myself from a distance, but I told myself that was just stress. Every now and then, I catch my reflection smiling when I don't feel like smiling. And sometimes when I wake up, I'm not immediately sure which life I've returned to.